Welcome to Helping Organisations Thrive. Today I have the pleasure of Antonina Pereira. Welcome to you, Antonina.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Good to have you. Good to have this conversation. And I know it's been in the diary for quite some time now. Just tell the audience you're the Executive Dean, you're the Faculty of Science, Social Sciences and Humanities, you're Professor of Neuropsychology and Neuroscience at the University of Chichester, which is my hometown now. And today we're going to be exploring leading in the higher education sector, navigating the challenges you have, like financial, nurturing and motivating staff during these times of change. But before we get into that, Antonina, I want to ask you, what do you love about what you do?
Ah, that's always a tricky one. I want to answer everything because I do, even when it's tough, even when it's hard, and sometimes especially because it's hard. It's complex, it's a puzzle, but it's incredibly creative. Every day I walk into something that is always different and that always demands attention. I feel that it's quite like a constant gardener that has to every day look at the garden and prune and plant new things and take care of the weeds. All of that work is continuous work. And because of that, I feel passionate about what I do. I love working with people. For me, the greatest priority, but also the thing that makes me tick, is really being able to develop people. I am an educator at heart, for sure. And because of that, through my career as a lecturer, senior lecturer before, my passion was really to develop our students. And now working with staff at a more executive level as well, having gone through all the different pit stops until I got to this position, it's always been that my priority. And what motivated me to be where I am is really about enabling people to achieve what they want, whatever that might be, because it's quite different for different people. Some will be really passionate about developing their career. Others will want to focus on a particular aspect of that career with more intensity, for example, research or teaching. So success is something different for different people. And I learn new things every day. So yeah, that makes me really, really happy to do what I do.
And having got to know you this year, I know you've got a real sort of deep passion for people and wanting people to sort of do well and you serve your people really well. And I love your metaphor of being like a gardener. I think that's a really great metaphor in terms of leadership. I think it's that sort of the continuous maintenance aspect of leadership. It's not just a one-off thing. Now you've been in leadership within the context of the higher education for some time now, and I just want to ask you, because it has been quite a shift in the last, say, 5 or 6 years. I want to ask you, what does leadership in HE look like right now compared to, say, 5 or 6 years ago?
Oh, the complexity has increased in ways that I think would not have been anticipated before. Higher education and education in general is, I see it as a labor of the heart. People, it's a very vocational area. People come to higher education because they want people to develop, because they believe in what they are doing. And at the same time, because of the priorities that are now necessary to ensure that we survive, higher education has acquired some of the characteristics of traditional businesses, I would say, which makes it very, very complex. The, for example, need to ensure that our student numbers continue to be healthy and grow. The need to ensure that the student experience is hand in hand tied with a very judicious budget are complexities that were not there before. I feel that it has been since 2012 and the introduction of fees that things really changed. But also, we're facing something that is quite complex. So at that time, the fees were around £9,000. We've had two increases since, but we're still not at the £10,000 mark. And we're talking of 13 years after the fees have been introduced. So of course, as with everything else, our baseline source of income has not been flexible. So we remain stable at that level, so, and unable to pull that lever to increase that to a cost that is reflective of the actual cost of learning and teaching, but of the whole student experience. And because of that, we are facing more rigors and having to adapt and adjust. To give you an idea, the pupil premium for high school is on average around £7,000, £7,250. Um, Whereas the university fees were until last year £9,250. That difference, um, having an understanding of all the holistic uh, complexity of university life, it's really clear to understand that it's impossible to conjugate the two. And we know that even high schools are struggling. So, how can
Mm,
universities thrive in an environment that is so tight in terms of financial possibilities? So, that has been the greatest challenge. And conjugating
mm,
that with the need to enable a student experience through staff experience as well, because it is essential, I feel, that colleagues that are devoted to developing students and are able to provide them the best experience possible, that are able to create students that have a well-rounded approach, that are then very employable, and all of that is complex, and to have to do it in a constrained rigorous, ever so judicious environment financially has become a complexity of the last few years that we haven't faced before. I fear that at the same time, there has been a move with students perceiving higher education as something that, because they pay a fee, they are paying to attend higher education, and they're paying for their degree, and not understanding really sometimes that it's this unique opportunity of developing in higher education that actually we're talking about. Um, and it's almost a clientelistic, I would say, approach to higher education, where, oh, here's my £9,000, give me my degree. And I often have discussions with students to try to explain that actually uh, there's a contract, and we need to ensure that there's buy-in and that the students
mm,
embrace this learning environment with the same passion and with the same commitment that we do. We I often use the metaphor of going to the gym. You can pay for your gym membership, but you're not going to have a very fit body if you don't put in the work. At the same level in higher education, where they have the opportunity to come to higher education, but how their journey is shaped is something that we try to inspire from day one, at
mm,
the same time as we try to prepare them to leave. But it cannot happen without their commitment. And that's why they signed the student contract and in a mutual agreement that
mm,
we will develop together. And that is incredible. That is what is powerful about higher education, I feel, that ability to develop together.
mm. And you have had challenges. Obviously, there's the financial one you talked about there, with the sort of student paying's not really gone up, inflation's gone up. You've got all the challenges that all businesses have had, but also there's been a reduction in numbers because people are thinking not to go to university, they're going to do something else, and so
Hmm.
that's impacted you as well. And then obviously the impact on foreign students because of reduction in visas. So you've had almost a you can call it a perfect storm, which sounds incredibly negative, but it's been quite challenging. And I'd like to know how you maintain your motivation of your staff in these times when there's almost from all fronts you're getting these sort of challenges.
Yes, I think that it is about honesty. always. And it's about facing the problems head on. I feel that I should protect my teams, but I know that many people use the umbrella metaphor, protecting your team with an umbrella. I agree with that, but I do believe that it has to be a transparent umbrella. We need to be able to share with the teams all the challenges that we are facing together as a unity. I don't think that there are any benefits in trying to say, oh, but it's not that bad or it's not that complex. Actually, we're all adults and we're all contributing to the same environment that we want to thrive. And I think that through that, enabling student experience, student engagement comes from having a team that is really happy and joined up and knows what it is that we are trying to achieve. You're absolutely right. The numbers have gone down, and not just the numbers have gone down, but in addition to all of that, we've had issues with larger universities taking on more students and students of different levels that they might or might not be able to support. Um, I am proudly part of a university that is small and proud of its size, but that has an impact that is reflected locally, nationally, and even globally. And that's quite powerful. Because of that size, we have agility. So we are able to respond in ways that are quite creative to the challenges of the sector and still offer incredible student experience. I am so proud of the fact that in so many of our areas, we hit first and second places in the National Student Survey, demonstrating that their experience is superb, but also that we score very highly on employability. So our students do have a job at the end if that is what they want at the end of their journey with us. And it might not be what they want because we have a range of students from different ages and they seek higher education not necessarily as a means to achieve something else. It is the development of their knowledge, their expertise that is important as well. So all of that needs to come together and be understood by every member of the team, um, but leading with kindness as well. And knowing the team really well is very, very important for me. And I feel very proud of saying how well I know the members of my team and how they can work together. And daring to dream as well. I feel that it's about planting the seeds, again, the metaphor of the gardener, and hoping that if they are empowered to take on the reins and do creative things with space to fail as well, safe space to fail, that is what will be conducive to the greatest level of success and unity in a team. I think that in blaming cultures, that cannot happen. I think that the team needs to feel safe. They need to be able to come and tell me, you know what, we're doing our recruitment strategy in this particular way, but I would really like to introduce this new thing. And it might seem small, but I think it will have a huge impact. It's very different from what we've been doing. And okay, let's go, let's do it. And if suddenly that doesn't happen, it doesn't go very well, or needs rethinking, that's absolutely fine. We've tried it. I think it's really, really, really important to allow teams to fail. If they're failing, they're doing something and they made a mistake. That's okay. Let's try again. I think that what we cannot do is not have mistakes. Because if we don't have mistakes, we will never, never be able to grow. It means that we're not doing anything, and that is just not possible. In every business, in every industry, I think that it's very bad not to take risks. But in higher education, more than anywhere, because I think that the intrinsic need for creative approaches that are really conducive to exciting outcomes needs to be there every day. We need to be reinventing what we're doing every day, being very, very agile, adapting to an ever-changing world. We're preparing the citizens of the future. That's such a responsibility that I feel. but I want to equip them with the tools that they need to thrive. And to do that, I need to enable the team to experience with and experiment with different things, and feel that they can do so. Yes.
When you mentioned that whole sense of creating an environment where people feel they can make mistakes, that psychologically safe environment, which is vital, because you don't get innovation unless you make some failures along the way to get things you iterate. And I know and I've witnessed, your passion for your support for your team and how you put your team forward, and you almost, I see what you post on LinkedIn. You're very supportive of your team, and you try and get them out there. And I think you're very encouraging in that way. But it's great that you create an environment of, I suppose, that psychological safety that sort of allows those mistakes. How did you think about that, but also did you create that? Have you come from an environment like that yourself, or is it something you think is really important in the context of leadership?
Um, I've experienced such different approaches throughout my career. I've been at so many different universities as well. And for me, I feel that those are the ones that work, but also um, because I'm deeply grounded in values that are just in tune with this approach. For me, that's really important. The belief that we are doing something that is conducive to that development, that we are doing it together. I think that it's impossible to do this if it is, and to face challenges and to face them head on with creativity and with a smile on our faces. And I feel very grateful always to the teams that surround me. They're so diverse and they're so incredibly powerful, and they do not shy away from challenges. And I feel that that would not have been possible if we didn't create that environment for them. I read as much as I can around leading different teams, but also around people, because we need to think about the micro all the way up to the macro level. We need to think about the individual as well, and how is it that we motivate different people. Whenever I have a challenge, and I think that that can be every day, it's also an opportunity. And there's not one day where I don't think, but maybe there's something that I can read that can help me to understand this better, and bringing all that knowledge together. Listening to podcasts such as yours is really important for me, especially because I need to maximize the time that I have, and it's so useful to sometimes just listening to them on my drive, or really powerful to hear different perspectives. The more I am familiar with different approaches, with different ways of doing things, the more I will have more tools on my toolbox that will allow me to respond to people. People are unique. Every person that I have in front of me is completely unique. What will work for them, I don't assume ever, oh, this is solution A and it will be perfect and it will work really well. I don't think so. I think that it really is about getting to know them and identifying a solution that works for that particular context at that particular moment. People grow, people evolve, and because of that, maybe in 5 years, that will no longer be the right approach for that person. And knowing that, never assuming, I feel. True leadership needs to come with great humility as well, and respecting the person that you have in front of you, and being able to adapt as well, but being able to give them what they need and deserve to flourish. And I go back to the gardening metaphor. I am so sorry. Continues to be the topic of the day for me.
And we talked about that, making mistakes and learning from those mistakes as a way of obviously driving innovation. And it'd be interesting to understand, do you role model that yourself, and how do you do that? And have you got an example recently that you'd happy to share, obviously publicly right now?
About developing people, you mean?
No,
About
no. As in, I always feel, because role modeling is a real powerful way to impact people around you. So, do you role model, as in owning up to mistakes with your team, and then going, "These are my learnings," and that type of thing, but also Have you got an example like that? I'd just be intrigued.
Absolutely, every day, and I encourage 360 feedback, but continuously. I don't think that it can happen at a moment. In the same way that I do not do performance development interviews as a goal to provide feedback. I think that that continuous feedback and understanding of what really is the impact of our actions in people in front of us is
Mm,
really important, and confirming that that is what they are going for, confirming that the understanding of what we have of a situation is the same understanding, making mistakes, assuming that is just a guarantee, that and not being afraid of making those mistakes, but risking. I think it's a continuum. I want to enable teams that are very powerful and that feel that they can be impactful with what they do. To do that, I think that every day I need to have a discussion that continues, a live discussion that doesn't have a particular moment. Yes, we can sit down around a particular moment to discuss,
mm,
but that loop of feedback needs to happen with great respect as well. I think that the worst mistake is to be a micromanager, and especially when leading leaders, because in my role now I have that privilege influencing people that influence other people that influence other people. There's so
mm,
many levels in the chain, and that needs to be fostered from above if we have that clear communication, but that approach that is a positive approach of creating that space needs to be there. For example, in recruitment opportunities, we've had so many now that are associated with enabling those positions of leadership,
mm,
and often at interviews, the roles that are being advertised are roles that I will work directly with, but there will be another line manager, and ensuring that the decision is of that line manager and not my decision. I mean, simple things. Even this week, I've told a colleague, I have a favorite candidate in the application after the interview round, but I'm not going to share it with you. It will be for you to decide and to let me know. I do not want to influence that decision in a
mm,
way that then will cause issues for that colleague. It is their decision, it is their space to make mistakes. And if they make a mistake, that's okay, because it will be a mistake that we can then reorganize and do different things. But it's important to create that space to say,
mm,
I'm not going to tell you, no, that's going to be a mistake, because that's wrong. I am leading, but I am not the person that's going to be implementing it on the ground. And I need the person to be implementing it on the ground to feel, yes, this is my decision, ownership. That is
mm,
so important, especially important in contexts where we thrive through innovation, through research. We at the University of Chichester, all academics are either practitioners or researchers. So we develop cutting edge research, and inform our teaching by that research. We develop cutting edge innovation through businesses that are located worldwide. And to bring that into the classroom is something quite powerful. Again, an environment of creativity where we're constantly learning, constantly developing. And because of that, we need to be creating, again, a continuum of discussion, of dialogue, and space to talk, space to
mm,
explore, space to enjoy as well. I think it needs to be an enjoyable activity. The students that have started last week with us had a wonderful reception from different people across the university. From me, what they've heard was that I would hope for them the same thing that I feel I have, happiness in whatever it is that they decide to do.
mm,
If at the end of their journey with us, they feel as happy with what they are doing as I do about what I do, I feel that I've done my job. And that's the major goal. And I feel that not just about the students, but about every colleague I work with every day. I think that the day I stop feeling that will be the day that I will not feel comfortable with my job, and possibly I will stop doing what I do. I think that it's that sense of mission, of purpose. You
Mm.
need for me, it's essential. It's what gets me out of bed, and it's what makes me want to come to work on a Monday morning and not think, oh no, here we go. Instead, thinking, here we go, and we can do this together, regardless of the many challenges that the sector is facing, which realistically it will continue to face for many years. Through the different stages of what I do, I've always developed very grounded programs of change with embedded in them with a timeline. And the latest one I've created, as I assume this new role of executive dean, has a timeline that goes all the way to December 2027. And by
Wow.
December 2027, I want to have growth, and celebrating growth as one of the
Mm.
things that, and it's the planning of the journey. How is it that we will get there? And at every stage of that planning, I include my thoughts about my team, and how it is that they will go through the different stages that will be essential to ensure our sustainability, that we are viable, that we are facing the head on again, that any challenge of the sector, transforming it
Mm.
into an opportunity, that we don't just survive. Too many places are worried with just survival. And again, it sounds like a cliche, but really, when it's lived, it is not. We need to
Mm.
thrive, and we can do it. But the essential thing for the success of that is to bring the teams along. And I feel every day that I'm talking to someone that I'm closer to that goal.
Mm.
But I'm always learning more. And sometimes I'm surprised. And that's a very long answer to your question, because it really is true. It's about the 360 feedback that
Mm.
needs to be there constantly through the journey, regardless of whether it's a simple thing in one day or something that will have an impact throughout, I don't know, my
Mm.
academic and professional career, ensuring that that is there, and being the first one to say, yes, I made that mistake. Oh, oops, here we go. So sorry, and laughing about it as well with the team sometimes, or crying, which also happens.
Now you've been going through a lot of change, I know, at the university, and you just said you got this sort of plan or this vision to December 2027, which will again create change. And along the way, you'll have other things that will come your way that will again need you to adapt and be agile. What's the biggest mistake you see leaders making when they're navigating organizational change in HE?
um, I will go back to not listening, especially in leadership positions that are so influential. I think that it is important to surround yourself by people that think differently from you. It is so easily done to recruit to your image. And I feel that too many leaders over my career have done that. For me, the most powerful leaders are the ones that are not afraid of embracing differences, and that at the highest level of executive boards, we have voices that feel safe again to talk about
Mm.
the things that might conduce to the greatest opportunity of success. No one has the monopoly on good ideas, I don't think. It really is important to hear different voices and from the different areas across the university. And there are so many at a university. You'll have your chief human resource officer, you'll have your chief marketing officer, you'll have your director of finance, and your CFOs in some organizations, your chief operational officer as well, and the provosts and the deputy vice chancellors, so many different voices, the executive deans. And I think that true power lies in ensuring that all those voices have an
Mm.
opportunity to come forward in a safe environment and to say, this idea sounds great, but actually we could do this as well. and thinking through together in an environment where that is conducive to success is the greatest key. Someone a few years ago um, mentioned to me that in Chichester, it's quite interesting because um, you will walk into a board meeting, different types of levels and different types of meetings, and you are surrounded by people who really want you to succeed. There are so many places where people are so worried about their ego or really wanting you to fall flat on your face, and you can feel it. Tricky questions, um, and in Chichester, it's quite different, actually. And I think that teams come together around people that generally want colleagues to succeed. And again, it's big egos are always a problem for leadership because no one can lead in isolation. And there's always a bigger dog. There's always someone else, and sometimes it's the sector in itself that is so constraining that will cause problems and issues. It's easy to attempt to lead in an authoritarian way, but the results and the chance of success of that approach are very limited. I feel, of course, at the end of the day, someone has to make a decision, but I think that that decision so much richer and much more effective if it is a decision that has taken into consideration as many perspectives as possible. And then coming to a decision, of course, I think that we cannot also fall prey of the opposite, which is, oh, so many opportunities, and we end up not making any decision. That is
Mm.
also a big mistake that I've often seen in leadership teams. Oh, we could do this. Oh, we could do that. Oh, I'm not quite sure. I will see. Delay, delay, delay. No, that cannot also happen. It needs to be
Mm.
a combination of the two. And I think that that is conducive to effective leadership from children's play, negotiating that. Sandpit and say, oh, well, here's my bucket. Do you have a spade? Can we work on it together? Oh, look, a beautiful castle. And that's what we're doing anyway in higher education, I feel. We're building beautiful castles, but they are sand castles that are constantly being affected by things that we cannot control. From mom saying it's time to go home to wind, rain, and a range of things. But what we don't want is a bully to come into the sandcastle and step on it and completely destroy it, because it's built with love. And anything that's built with love, uh, as higher education is, because again, to bring us back to what I started by saying, it is a labor of love. I don't think that there are many people in higher education that think, oh, I'll go there because it pays so well. It really doesn't. It's quite the opposite, but it's so vocational. It's so about influencing people's lives and developing them. Which brings me to the last thing about still in leadership and the mistakes we can make. I think that in higher education, most leaders have not had training in leadership. They're very good academics, they're amazing researchers, but they might not have had an opportunity to pause, do an MBA, for example, or read or develop through leadership. And so they do it on the side. And I think that most really want very, very hard to be able to learn more and to, but academics at heart. And that is a challenge. I think that that is something that we can address through support, and that is why developing leadership in higher education is so important, because it's not there from the ground. That people are
Mm.
not coming to the job equipped with the programs, with the courses, with the development that they might need to actually do a good job. And that is, I think, something that needs addressing. And the way to address it is to embark on training, to embrace training. Again, always to go back to the never assuming that we know everything, and learning more. That's part of why this job is so exciting. I'm constantly, every day, learning more, developing more, developing my perspective of the world as well.
And during this time of change that you're going through and will continue to go through, what's your non-negotiable?
Hmm. It's you know, I think really around values, uh, ethical principles. I in the day that I stop prioritizing people, then I know that it's time to go. Um, and that is a very complex thing to say, as I'm going to quote Isaac Asimov, so silly, but never let your sense of morals prevent you from doing what's right. And of course, that is correct. But at the same time, for me, if people are at the center, you cannot go wrong. And continuing to do everything that we do with a deep ethical sense of purpose, and not changing everything just because everything needs to be changed,
Mm,
but changing meaningfully with a vision uh, to ensure that that comes to fruition in the intended way. It's so easy to try to change everything or to be in a reactive mode, and that's why I plan. I plan to ensure that that doesn't happen, that it's not a reactive, and encompassing all the things that can go wrong, always having in your pocket a plan A, B, C, and D. And my team knows that I do. Well, we'll do this. And if that happens, then we do that. And then something else might happen. So we'll try this approach as
mm,
well. And looking at it in a form of a model, ensuring that we understand by moving a particular piece what will happen to the entirety of the model, understanding the consequences. But people are at the heart of this, and if we lose that, I know that the whole model will collapse. But I also know
mm,
that for me, that will happen as well. If I stop caring, and I do know that I care, but that's when I will
mm.
not want to do what I do. Yeah, I care, and I care about my place of work. I care about my team. I care about my students, and that's really deeply important for me.
Yeah, and your care shines through, and I love the fact that you said, people are at the heart of it. That's your non-negotiable in all this. It's the people side of things. And just one final question: where do you see hope and opportunity in higher education, despite all the challenges we've talked about?
It will be different for every university. That's an excellent question. And I ask it every day because that's an essential question for us to be able to face the challenges and for us to be able to really aim for that growth that I have in my plan. 2027 will be celebrating. So, not even achieving, but celebrating it. And it really is very much about ensuring that we have, again, the tools together to achieve it, but also at the same time, I feel that with teams that are so powerful, even coming to work is an absolute pleasure for me. Knowing them intrinsically, knowing what they want to achieve, will be something that will be key to ensure our success. In a university such as Chichester, that looks differently from I don't know, a Russell Group University, or I don't know, a city university very centered in London, for example. And I think adapting the aspects that are quite unique to the University of Chichester, and ensuring that we live by that, and that everything that we plan has that in consideration, is very important. We're a cathedrals group university. We're a small university, unapologetically small. We know what we do well, and that is to enable people to succeed. Every year when I attend graduation, when I read the students' names, I know them and I know what they've been through to walk that stage. And that makes my heart tick. That's quite unique. you can become a number so easily in particularly larger environments. And that can be a beneficial thing as well, but it's not what is right for me. I've been at so many different universities before I came to Chichester. And when I came to Chichester, my daughter was 9 months old. Um, and I thought, oh, I'll stay 2 years and then I'll go to another university to find out more, to learn, to develop. But actually, um, I've fallen in love with Chichester and with our approach of support because it's so in tune with my own values and my perspective of life that my daughter is now in high school. I never thought that that would be the case, but it is. I've fallen in love with a place that provides the level of support for people to succeed. I feel very strongly that in Chichester, every student will thrive, will have the tools that will enable them to thrive, regardless of whether they are a triple D student or a triple A star. If they are a AAA star student, they will be able to develop and publish sometimes in highly impactful journals. And what that does to their level of employability is incredible. But if they reach us at a different stage, because of the levels of support that we put in place, we know that they'll succeed as well. Our metric concerning added value is always very, very high. And that's a metric based on their predicted exit grade at entry. And at Chichester, those are often miles away, not because we're easy markers, and in fact, we are quite harsh markers sometimes, I have to say, but because of the levels of support we put in place, the students thrive. And when they exit with so much more than a degree. They exit with a well rounded education, prepared for the challenges of the world. We develop programs that are meaningful in collaboration with the local industry, for example. We don't develop the programs and think, oh, this will be a good idea and this is exactly what you need. Instead of doing that, we talk to local, national, sometimes international stakeholders to try to understand what will work for those students, what is it that they're looking for in their workplace as well when those students walk into those workplaces. That's really important. Dialogue within, but dialogue across, and as much as possible, as widely as possible. That's really important for me, I feel.
And I just want to say thank you, Antonina, for coming on the show. Thank you to sort of demonstrating and hearing your passion for not only your team, but also for your students and also for Chichester. If people are interested and want to get to know you, connect with you, what's the best way of doing that?
Yes, via email or on LinkedIn. I am on LinkedIn, and it's exactly this name and this title, Antonina Pereira, and I'm really, really happy to chat and to talk about my approach and to hear about new approaches as well. That would be amazing. So yes.
Well, brilliant. Well, thank you for your time today, Antonina.
Thank you so much, Julian. Thank you.